A final reflection by Aoife Whitaker. The purpose of this reflection piece is to look back throughout IDT 3600 this semester and see how I have supported the ISTE standards for teachers through activities, lesson plans, and more. With that said, the first ISTE standard is to facilitate and inspire student learning and creativity. 3 examples of how I have supported this standard include an instructional comic, a graphic organizer, and a Web 2.0 tool called Wordle. The first example is an instructional comic. Using a program called ToonDo, I created an instructional comic in order to teach students the Pythagorean theorem. The purpose of this is to engage students and have them solve authentic problems digitally. This supports the substandard to engage students in exploring real-world issues and solving authentic problems using digital tools and resources. The second example is a graphic organizer. Using a program called Kidspiration, I created a graphic organizer in order to visually represent information required for a research paper. The purpose of this is to help stimulate thinking skills of students. This supports the substandard to promote, support, and model creative and innovative thinking and inventiveness. The third example is a Web 2.0 tool called Wordle. I researched a number of Web 2.0 tools, but one that sticks out in particular is Wordle. This tool allows students to reflect creatively to clarify understanding of content. This supports the substandard to promote student reflection using collaborative tools to reveal and clarify students' conceptual understanding and thinking, planning, and creative processes. The second ISTE standard is to design and develop digital age learning experiences and assessments. 3 examples of how I have supported this standard include a Web 2.0 tool called Edmodo, a web quest, and my second lesson plan. The first example is a Web 2.0 tool called Edmodo. My favorite Web 2.0 tool is Edmodo, for it is a social media tool related to education. This tool allows students to become active participants in their role as a student, as well as track progress in the classroom. This supports the substandard to develop technology-enriched learning environments that enable all students to pursue their individual curiosities and become active participants in setting their own educational goals, managing their own learning, and assessing their own progress. The second example is a web quest. Using a program called Zoonal, I created a web quest in order to motivate students' creativity. This lesson allowed them to use digital tools in order to plan a day trip in Memphis. This supports the substandard to design or adapt relevant learning experiences that incorporate digital tools and resources to promote student learning and creativity. The third example is my second lesson plan. In my second lesson plan, students were asked to complete an online module regarding the Pythagorean theorem. Multiple forms of the lesson were available digitally, and students were also assessed through the quiz portion online. This supports the substandard to provide students with multiple and varied formative and summative assessments aligned with content and technology standards, and use resulting data to inform learning and teaching. The third ISTE standard is to model digital age work and learning. 3 examples of how I have supported this standard include lecture capture, mobile learning, and interactive whiteboard. The first example is lecture capture. Using programs such as AudioBoo, Screencast-O-Matic, which is what I'm using right now, and YouTube Video Editor, I created 3 different lecture captures: audio, video, and screen. The purpose of this is to communicate to parents and students relevant information using digital media. This supports the substandard to communicate relevant information and ideas effectively to students, parents, and peers using a variety of digital age media and formats. The second example is mobile learning. I researched multiple mobile learning lesson plans. The purpose of these is to collaborate with students using digital tools and resources to support student success and innovation. This supports the substandard to collaborate with students, peers, parents, and community members using digital tools and resources to support student success and innovation. The third example is interactive whiteboard. Using Microsoft Word, I created an interactive whiteboard activity in order for students to practice a lesson they had just learned. This allowed the students to effectively use digital tools to support learning. This supports the substandard to model and facilitate effective use of current and emerging digital tools to locate, analyze, evaluate, and use information resources to support research and learning. The fourth ISTE standard is to promote and model digital citizenship and responsibility. 3 examples of how I have supported this standard include the Campus School Weebly, citation of websites and images, and my field experience lesson plan. The first example is the Campus School Weebly. In my field experience lesson plan, we used a variety of websites. In order for students to access them safely, they were uploaded to the Campus School Weebly page. The purpose was to model digital etiquette and responsible social interaction for students. This supports the substandard to promote and model digital etiquette and responsible social interactions related to the use of technology and information. The second example is citing websites and images. Throughout the semester, I have been using a variety of websites in Google Images in lessons, activities, etc. The purpose of citing the websites and images is to respect copyright and appropriately document sources. This supports the substandard to advocate, model, and teach safe, legal, and ethical use of digital information and technology, including respect for copyright, intellectual property, and the appropriate documentation of sources. The third example is my field experience lesson plan. In my field experience lesson plan, we incorporated a variety of websites in order to address the diverse needs of all learners. The purpose of this was to make sure all students were being challenged via digital tools. This supports the substandard to address the diverse needs of all learners by using learner-centered strategies, providing equitable access to appropriate digital tools and resources. The fifth ISTE standard is to engage in professional growth and leadership. 3 examples of how I have supported this standard include co-teaching, my portfolio, and my field experience reflection. The first example is co-teaching from field experience. As part of my field experience, I was required to co-teach a lesson with 2 other ladies. The purpose of this allowed me to participate and interact with them in a way that we can most effectively implement technology in education for students. This supports the substandard to participate in local and global learning communities to explore creative applications of technology to improve student learning. The second example is my portfolio. I created a Weebly portfolio to include everything I have created for this class this semester. The purpose is to self-reflect on my teaching profession this semester, as well as present it in a way that can be used or viewed by others. This supports the substandard to contribute to the effectiveness, vitality, and self-renewal of the teaching profession and of their school and community. The third example is my field experience reflection. I wrote a reflection paper based on my field experience from this semester. The purpose of this was to evaluate and reflect on the digital tools and resources I use to enhance student learning. This supports the substandard to evaluate and reflect on current research and professional practice on a regular basis to make effective use of existing and emerging digital tools and resources in support of student learning. All in all, I have learned more this semester in IDT 3600 than I honestly expected. I am leaving this course with an abundant amount of information and resources in order to implement technology effectively in a classroom. With that said, I would like to especially thank Dr. Weaver and Ms. Towns for their excellent instruction. I look forward to passing what I have learned on to teaching peers in the future.